the headlines. And I've been joined by my guests, Edgar Wiredu, who is an insurance marketer, and Oscar Provencal, who is an actor. The Agency.
Yes,
the have Agency. A movie like that.
Yes, coming out on the 2nd of December at the West Hills and the Silverbirds Mall.
I saw you holding a gun. Was it a real gun?
No, definitely not.
Acting is still in your blood.
That's my love. That's my passion. I sit here every day. You call me an actor. I'm more than that, but I prefer to be called an actor. So
awesome. Edgar, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Yeah, bro.
I was asking about your designer. You say the designer is you.
Yeah.
I like your outfits, man.
Yeah, man.
Today is Jinyami. How do you translate that loosely into English, Jinyami? For those who don't know, those who are watching us from Sierra Leone, Liberia, Nigeria.
Accept God.
Accept God.
Yeah.
Okay, so the symbol there. Yeah. Okay, great stuff.
Funky favor.
Yeah.
No, you see, how do you call it? The word, how do you call it? Depending on the context. It could be accept. It could be accept.
You're right.
Yeah.
G.
Yeah, so it's like it depends on the context in which you put it in. Yes. So it could be accept.
Accept God. Receive God.
Yes. Okay. Yes,
or
right.
accept God.
Accept
in your context is what? Accept.
All of them. And we had this before Christianity came.
Oh yeah, this is.
So we knew God.
Oh, definitely.
Way before Christianity.
This is from the hieroglyphics time, man. It's a continuation of all that tradition of putting communication in symbols.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We're here long before.
We're interested in coffee and tea. So.
Good. What's your big rant this morning? I'm going to start with you, Edgar.
Oh, this country, at times you wake up and then, the problems are just so plenty, and you just ask yourself, should that even be a problem? It's just the human beings. It's the human beings that we have. That is why we have all these wahala going on. The normal saying is, square pegs in round holes. Yeah, basically, because nothing makes sense.
Nothing?
Nothing. You see?
That's harsh.
No, you see, for instance.
Drastic.
For instance, I ask myself the question every time that any time that I go and buy power, there is a percentage on my bill suggesting street lights levy. And the street lights are just not working. And somebody is also collecting pay. It's something that just beats my mind. And some of the roads are such that the asphalt absorbs your lights. So if you're not careful, someone will just be trying to cross in some speed, run across the road. You are not careful, you may hit the person. Because certain portions of the city, the asphalt absorbs the light. So if you try to put on your high, what it means is that you are going to blind the one coming from the opposite direction. So you're forced to be with your dim lights. Before you are aware, you create trouble. And the thing that I don't understand is why some people are still being paid. So for a year, 2 lights are not working, some people are still being paid. That is Ghana for you.
Mini rant there from Edgar. Oscar, what's on your mind?
My rant is very simple. I think I have hope for this country.
So diametrically opposed.
Wow. I think I have hope for this country. I've seen our democracy move in leaps and bounds. And you see, there's a saying, I don't know, before I get accused of plagiarism, there's a saying is that the optimist built the aeroplane. The pessimist built or invented the parachute. I think the phase that we are going through in this country is a phase that we can take the opportunity to change the narrative of this country, change the structure of this country. And yes, I mean, in everything there is good, and if there's no evil, you will not be able to appreciate darkness and, you know, or evil. I think we need to get to this point where we need to seek every opportunity or every so-called tragedy or every so-called misfall as an opportunity to just move outside of ourselves and be able to move this country forward. So yes, there are challenges, like my brother is saying, and I agree with him. But I'm just so tired of complaining. And Ghanaians, we are funny people. We were all asking for action. Government should take action. Government should take action. We want to see them doing something now.
Action on.
Some action, whether action on or action off or action in it, we wanted action. Now, I've sat with a lot of friends, and, you know, government says it has taken action to stop forex to importers of rice and so forth. And now they're all up in arms. Why? Government says banning import of rice, is banning import of this, doing that. Isn't that an opportunity to step up our productions of rice, productions of this? But you still have people in that zone where they are still focusing on these issues. So I want to move to the next step and say, government, what are the incentives are you going to give to the business and to the agri sector? And how is this going to be phased? Because don't forget, there are people's livelihoods at stake. I mean, if you say you are banning rice at this point in time, of course, all the rice importers are going to have a challenge with you, because you're taking money or livelihood away from them. So you're going to have to find a balance, and life is all about balance. How do we balance these things? That's why we have a debt to GDP ratio, and we need to balance it. I mean, how do we go about it? These are the things now going into the practical areas, the pragmatic areas of how we need to achieve this. And we are not the only nation going through this phase. Britain is going through it. America is going through it. Why don't we now challenge our authorities to tell us what is the roadmap and how are we going to get out of this quagmire? What are the steps that we are going to take? For me, that is it. And how are we going to get the buy-in of our people to move along with it? When we're changing from left-hand drive, is it left-hand drive, right-hand drive to left-hand drive? What was the campaign? Do you remember the cartoon? Do you remember when Operation Feed Yourself? You remember the cartoon? What was it?
I've forgotten the cartoon, but I remember it very well.
You remember it? What was the song? You remember the song?
Yeah, I remember the song. And then, how do you call it?
Ghana, the first one was Ghana Goes Metric.
Ghana Goes Metric. That was from pounds to kilos. Ghana Goes Metric, yeah.
So that was all the days drive on the right. That was
like in those days, the nation along. And nothing has changed. It's not rocket science. And I hope your people can find those cartoons back in the day to show. You had to bring the people along. How do you bring the people along today? Because we need a certain place of unity and to understand where we are, irrespective of whose fault it is, who is there. I guarantee you that the next government that comes into place, God forbid, another COVID or another they say extraneous factors kicks in. Even if it doesn't, do you think we are going to have it easy as a nation? We should stop whining and whining and whining. Right. I think now we need to get down. I'm sorry, my brother, I'm not taking a jab at you, but I think.
Oh no, not that. But I mean, for me, though,
I think you raise some move. It's just
stop
like
whining and move.
It's just like you have opened a can of worms.
Oh Lord,
okay, what kind of worms do we have? Let's
no,
see.
you see,
let's
for
explore the
instance,
worms.
for instance, you see, when you make a statement like the president cannot just come and say we are banning rice oil importation. No, you can't do that. You have to tell us, as you said, roadmap. That is what you should put in first. That okay, look, maybe by 2025 we have to stop this. So this is what we're going to put in place. You see, in that way you are now psyching the people up. But when you just come and say we are banning rice importation, we are banning oil importation, it doesn't make sense.
They will tell you that they've had consultations.
No, but the point is that you are communicating to the nation. And so now we will begin asking the questions. You get it? You would avoid asking those questions when you put your communication in the right line.
So now you're getting the crux of the matter.
No, I'm not getting, because you see, that's what I said. You've opened a can of worms.
It's good.
This kind of rice issue you are talking about. This is one of the things for which I hold Kufur for as a big failure.
President Kufur?
Yeah, Kufur.
Wow.
Why did he fail?
See?
Wow.
Because in the year 98, 99, Juliet Cotton, Quality Grain, right? There was over $20 million to establish a whole rice empire in this country. Okay? For which, what's the name? Kwame Pepra, Sikbayanki, and then Ibrahim Adams were sent to court, causing financial loss to the state, and then they were jailed. Okay? This was, I think
the lady was also...
No, the lady was also jailed in the US, yes. Right? This was around 2001, 2002, thereabouts. Okay? For me, I would have said that having people before court, okay, and then they had to go through all that and went to jail, Kufur had a duty to have ensured that that project comes to life.
That Vayime Rice project?
That Vayime Rice project I'm talking about. Yes. You see? But for some reason, nobody is talking about it. It's dead and gone. And today, if Nana Akufo-Addo comes and says that we are going to stop rice importation, and then you don't say anything as to how we're going to do it, what's the time frame and what have you, right? Look, I'll tell you something here. Well, it is said that, you don't speak ill of the dead. But you see, Kwasika is one of the people who made this whole project fail, you know? Because there were guys who had come down, they wanted to establish a whole rice mill in this country. And all the attitudes that, you know, that kind of that is our politicians will play, whether it is appearance fee matter or something which is not coming up forward, so all kinds of blockades and, you know, impediments that are put in people's way. It's surprising that a country, we have spent over $20 million, and we are not talking of today $20 million. We're talking over 20 years, $20 million. And that is the end of the matter. Now, coming to the point you raise about hope for a country and all that.
You know, I'm looking at, just to stay a bit on the Vayime Rice project. So I'm looking at the SIGA website. SIGA is the State Interest Governance Authority. And there's a page there on Vayime Rice project. I'm just going to read a little bit of it to you. So it says, while the country spends so much importing rice, one project that could turn the fortunes of the country around is the Vayime Rice project, rice factory, if it is made operational. Okay, so if rice is to save Ghana over $600 million at full production from the import of rice, the government of Ghana owns 60% shares in Prairie Volta Limited as a majority shareholder, with 30% directly through the Ministry of Food and Agriculture and 30% directly through the Ghana Commercial Bank. So basically, they are telling us that if it is made operational, it will save us a lot of money, which means it has not been operational
yet. That's 20 years ago. This Peru company, it was some guy from some place that they brought him in, right? He's a complete mess. Okay, a complete mess. They are the people together with there was this ambassador. Is it the Australian ambassador or something like that? She even decided not to meet this guy again. Okay, and this I'm talking about. I'm talking about 2003, 2004. It's not something that is today. Go and look. Probably the day that PRU was established. It was established around that time. It was through Kwasiga that company came. Okay? But then, as I said, my brother, you're talking about an issue here of hope and all that. You see, there is a common saying that if you cannot improve, maintain. But today, we are not maintaining anything. We have not maintained anything of ours. We have retrogressed. We've gone back down. Then if you tell me that there is hope, with this kind of human beings who are in government, be it here or be it there, it's very important that you made a case about even if the next government comes in, so suggesting that even if it is not MPP but it is NDC, and then another kind of pandemic or anything hits us, that thing should have started in 2021. In 2021, that is when we should have started, having realized that what even that 3 or 2 weeks lockdown, what we went through, and then the supply chain issues that we are going through today, nothing should tell us that we have to be self-reliant. Nothing. I mean, this is just common. I mean, it's common sense. You see, the problem we have in this country is our failure to apply common sense, and everything we want to apply book knowledge. You see, that is the bane of our problem. Certain things are just common sense, but then everything you want to apply book knowledge, go and bring all kinds of people quoting things they've read in books. Every time quoting statements in so-and-so's editorial, so-and-so's 5th edition, all kinds of, when the thing is just common sense. You see? No, but we all have it. God gave it to all of us, right? And you should be able, look, you see, let me tell you, I keep saying that, you see, every environment, if you understand how your environment operates, you would not want to think that you should be like somebody. Okay? In our system, apart from your book knowledge, if you answer, home sense is very important in anything that you do. So apart from the book knowledge, the Ifeanyansa should guide you.
Right.
And if you are able to understand that Ifeanyansa, you'll be able to solve most of the problems that we are going through.
Let's talk about some.
So my departure from my brother is this. We can spend the next 100 years talking about how we got here. We are here. So now how do we move out of here? That's all.
With the failures,
everything that you've said is perfectly right. And you know, as we sit here and we are talking, we are all not the repository of knowledge. And it's beautiful to see you bringing up this Avihemi rice issue. I didn't even think about it. It hasn't even occurred in my brain one bit beyond those days of when the issues happened. That was the value that we some of us took for it, the entertainment value of it.
Yeah.
But we haven't really looked at what the impact was on our economy.
And 20 years down the road, it has not been operationalized. That's really sad. The Tongu chiefs, chiefs in the area were appealing for
thankfully
for
through
it
this,
to be done.
let me just ask you a very simple question.
Something that was at a military base. Something that was at a military base, and the thing could not be found.
What was that?
The crop duster, the aircraft that was brought to spray the whole place.
Yes.
It was at the military base airport. Air Force, military base.
He lost.
Okay.
The whole airplane got missing.
Forget about that. I'm saying the place where it is that it got lost is where my problem is. So it means that even at the military base, some robbers can go there. I mean,
it's crazy stuff.
I can't believe it.
So once again, my brother, we are here.
I
will keep on repeating
it. It is the human being.
Forward.
You see, I keep saying it's the human being. You always ask this question: what informs the president, or what informs the appointing authority, why I should give a particular job to Mr. A? what are the indicators? Why do I think Mr. A has to be the boss or whatever? When you get the wrong human beings to sit in those places, you shouldn't expect anything good. And that is Ghana today. Because Ghana
born out of what?
Ghana today, if we even take how 92, 93 was, 93, right? If we look at 93 to date, right? And you ask yourself the question that in 93, 94, 95, 96, we started our democracy and all that. And even at that time, the kind of food the kids were eating in school was like party. And today, the kind of food that is given to the children in school is something you can't talk about. Then you see that there's a problem.
So your argument is that we have regressed. Oscar thinks that we should be more hopeful.
Are you suggesting? Are you suggesting that you are not seeing it?
I'm not. I'm only saying what.
Are you suggesting that you are not seeing
my views are not important.
And it's not your view. I'm asking a simple question.
Kafui, I do not disagree with my brother that we have regressed. Of course, we have regressed
but we should
in
move
many
forward.
ways. But we are here now.
Okay.
So, who blame? You are talking from 1990 something, 2000 and something. Obviously, it has spanned different governments and, and things. Who are you going to hold to blame? From Nkrumah till date, we have issues on our plate. Accra was flooding during Nkrumah's time. Go and check. It's still flooding till today. So we are still talking about the same issue.
The problem I'm saying is that
so my brother,
the human beings. And that's what I'm saying. That you see, the problem is. I just asked the question. I said,
who are we going to replace them with?
Indicators, as I said, the president, the appointing authority. What do you look for in the people you appoint
to run things?
To run. That's the point I'm saying. That because you see, that is the problem. Because you see, we need brains to deal with the issues. So if the brains are, that's why I just gave you an example that even in the 90s to the 2000s, if the food we are eating in school were good, and today it is bad, it is as a result of wrong human beings who have been there.
Let's check out what's happening today in the news. The Finder. Excerpts of 2023 budget have been revealed. Nanado calls for Africa-led counter-terrorism initiative. Kenajipong appeals to NPP MPs not to boycott 2023 budget. Information Minister says collaboration with majority and minority on 2023 budget is critical. I'll look at the budget very shortly. Ghanaian Times, growing terror threat in West Africa. Let's adopt an agenda to stop it. President tasks ECOWAS security chiefs. 14 arrested over murder of chief, 2 others at Borai, Ahimfie. Stay off Saglimi, private developers. MNOs block SIM cards in compliance with the Communication Ministry Directive. What is an MNO? An MNO is a mobile network operator. Now I know. Daily graphic, ahead of 2023 economic policy tomorrow. Budget to restore stability, VAT likely to go up. Saglemi, committee sits on way forward. Teamwork key to Black Stars victory, says Odoi. And we'll be going to Studio 5 in 16 minutes. Tackle development gaps in vulnerable communities. Akufo-Addo at Accra Initiative Conference. Let me look at the Finder because we have excerpts of the budget. So these are some of the edges. This is going to be heavy on property rate. VAT is going to go up. And they say failure to pass it will derail the much needed IMF bailout. So VAT is likely to go up. LEAP is going to be expanded, livelihood empowerment against poverty. We have now currently an inflation rate of 40.4%. That's what I'm just letting you know about. And there are dire consequences of not passing a budget, according to the report here by Elvis Daku, a Finder. He says any delay or failure to pass the budget will worsen the already bad situation with dire consequences for the ordinary Ghanaian. So those are a couple of the headlines there. VAT is going to go up. Property rate is going to be charged. It's going to be heavy on that. And also social protection from LEAP. Thoughts, budget? Surprised?
I don't see any good thing coming from there. You see, when you overtax the people, you run the country down. And that's what I'm saying. These are all textbook knowledge. All right? Talking about, yes, of course. I mean, as for the or government for that matter, you need to mobilize, how do you call it, revenue, and one of the areas of mobilizing the revenue is through taxes and all that. But you see, when you have squeezed the people to the extent that all the water is finished, and you want to now go and crack the rock, you are going to create a problem. And this is what I say, that stop the textbooks application. Stop the textbook application.
What would be an example of Ifeanyi's application for the budget?
You see, we have talked about the few things that, as a country, we have the competitive advantages over, and those that we have the comparable advantages over. Okay? And there are things that we can conveniently do here that will earn us good, foreign currency.
Like?
I gave you an example when I told you about even the pepper. You get it? You see, our failure to appreciate that there is value in the soil. You get it? Our failure to appreciate that there's value in the soil. This is one of our problems. Number two, the existence of the SOEs. These SOEs are supposed to be profits,
state-owned enterprises.
State-owned enterprises. We have allowed the companies to be chopping the money and not paying the right dividends to government. So, for instance, why do you think when a government comes up, people are scrambling, they want to be board members, board chairmen and things? It is because they are going there for perks, allowances, and what have you. State's interest somewhere. And then they give themselves all kinds of fantabulous salaries and allowances. And at the end of the day, little is declared as profits for, the government. Why should every chief executive, ride in a V8? Why should you be giving people, shoelace allowance, bow tie allowance, lipstick allowance?
Where are these ones coming from?
Oh, Master, if you see some...
you have forgotten the integrity allowance.
Look, if you see some people's, you'll be amazed. For instance, Cocoa Board owes over 12 billion. And the top hierarchies are riding in V8s. I mean, you want to ask yourself, so what is wrong with us? Apart from, the free fuel, the free units on your phone, your free electricity, free water. Somebody is even collecting cook allowance, cook allowance, Gardeba allowance, security allowance. All these things. How do you expect that these companies will make money and pay the shareholder who should benefit and use that money for development? If you talk about property rates, how can you say you are going to do this? Property rates matter. They've been talking about it for the past 2 years. It's just like what I was telling you about the rice production thing. Nothing has been put in place. How are you going to determine the rates commensurate to the properties within certain areas? Who is going to put a value on the properties for which you want to apply your rate? Are you now going to send valuers around every property to value, to say this is the value of your whatever, so you got to pay this amount? Or you say, I want to look at this area, we call this area whatever area, so everybody has a flat rate or what? How is it? And besides, if you are talking about property rates is actually the preserve of the district assemblies. So are you suggesting that you are not going to give the district assemblies money, so therefore they should, look at their areas and collect the money to take care of whatever they have to do? Or you are going to take it and share or give them a percentage or what have you? Because this thing you are talking about, it is not something that is going to happen now. Even if you pass it, you now have to put the structures in place.
He says, already we understand that the Ghana Revenue Authority is working with the Ministry of Local Government and Decentralization, has completed a common platform to support the district assemblies in efficient property rate administration. All properties in the country are to be accessed by a team valuers from the Land Valuation Division of the Lands Commission to determine the rated value as soon as possible and pave the way for collection of property rates. In the 2022 budget, Finance Minister Oforiatta tasked GRA to begin the processes in January to collect property rates across Ghana. So it's a platform that they have completed, which where the GRA will be working with the Ministry of Local Government and Decentralization to support the district assemblies to collect property rate. The property rates will be assessed by a team of valuers from Land Valuation Division of
and this is what
Lands Commission.
This is what I'm saying, that so it is not something that is going to happen today.
Well, the platform is ready.
Master, they say you have to assess the value of each property. You have to assess the value of each property, and you think it's an easy thing to do. But you will not achieve it. Because you see, that's what I can say. There are things that you want to do, right? So you have a time frame. So you start putting the in. And then if you have a multiplier, right, the multiplier will automatically take effect, maybe based on yearly basis or whatever it is like. But you don't have that structure. So now, on what basis? You've not come to look at my house. You have not come to look at
the valuers will come.
No, what I'm just saying is that you've not come to look at my house. And then tomorrow you tell me that this is the value I should pay. Or this is the rate. On what basis?
Kaf.
On what basis?
Let me bring in Oscar. Oscar.
Kaf.
Yes, Oscar.
I've listened to my brother. I agree with him on everything that he says. But just now you read what they are going to do about the property rate.
Yeah, from today's finder.
Nothing happens in an instant. It's work in progress. If I hadn't heard what you had just read, I'll talk exactly like him. But I believe some gray matter must have gone into this, and there's a certain roadmap that they have put together to achieve what they need to achieve. What we are not hearing is the communication about these things. This is the challenge that is happening today. Ghanaians are not aware. So when we come and talk like this.
So
we should not be blamed for talking like this.
Who's responsible for this communication?
But government has a communication machine.
Ministry of Information.
They have NCCE, National Commission of Civic Education, and all of these things to support them. They have the Information Service
ISD.
Department, ISD. I mean, we need proper communication on that roadmap. So, yes, we're waiting for the budget to be read. I'm not going to comment on anything on this budget extract when you haven't read the full budget.
Normally release the thing to journalists ahead of time.
Ahead of time.
Yeah, that's why you have some of these things.
Yes, yeah.
So you are lucky and privileged.
Yeah, it's in today's finder though.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that, I will keep on going back to the place where we are today, and we need to move forward. VAT, I agree with you. We should stop overburdening the Ghanaian.
Too many VAT in the system, right?
Obviously the more disposable income you have. Now the question is, when you create that opportunity for Ghanaians to have disposable income, what do they use that disposable income for?
I think
it goes back into the economy.
argument from Edgar is probably that we are supposed to be in a crisis, but he doesn't see people acting as if they're in a crisis. It's like you're still chilling, in the middle of the crisis.
No,
do you not think?
If the government were serious, I just want to. If the government were serious, to prove a point to the citizenry, all government functionaries, whoever writes a VH, should pack it. Because you see, the amount of money that is used to fuel those vehicles, it's not coming from the minister or the chief executive of who's, it's not coming from his pocket. You see, and here is the situation. Yesterday, I heard the unions, right, asking for some 60%, and government says they are going to give them 12%, and then someone was making an analysis that he stays at Kaswa, and every day he has to spend 36 cedis or so to come to work and back, right? His pay is 500. It means he's overspent. He's not even
spending more than he's earned.
So they want to make a proposal that maybe we have to come to work for some 2 or 3 days, a shift and what have you. This is what the ordinary man is going through. So if you ones in the court always are moving with these vehicles and they know that it is not your money, then the question is, you are insensitive, or it is like you are just paying lip service.
You can agree on that, can't you, Oscar? That there's a bit of insensitivity around.
Something, you see, you also need to show.
I have said there needs
that you're also cutting back.
Yeah, so then when the government is serious, so the government says that, look, at a point in time, was it in April or March, when the minister came and said that this 50% fuel coupon or something that they were cutting down for these government or whatever, cut it out totally and let everyone buy fuel. Then when you speak and you say you want to give the ordinary man 12%, the ordinary man will see that, yes, really, austerity measures are coming into place. But you cannot say you are going to give the ordinary man 12% and he still sees you laughing all these things. To the extent that till date, they still use the taxpayers' money to buy tea for these people in offices. I mean, I don't get it. And you go there and then they are still drinking their tea and cream crackers and rich tea and all that. You still use taxpayers' money to buy these things. Come on, like I'm saying, common sense. Ifeanyi, demonstrate that, look, we too are suffering. We are cutting off just to make sure that things will happen. But if you fail to do little things like this, and you say, I'm going to give you 12%, how do you expect them to react?
Oscar, that's a point.
Once again, I've said that this country, we need to have reforms. I mean,
would Ifeanyi be one of the reforms?
Whatever you call it.
Home sense.
Whether it's home sense, whatever you call it. There has to be reforms. There have to be reforms even with our constitution. These issues. You see, so when I hear all the embellishment that comes with it, I want solutions. And within the embellishments, he has given solutions. So I'm not interested in hearing those embellishments. I want to hear that, look, this is what government should do. Hey, V8 out. However you do it with pooling the cars or whatever it is, or reductions, let's get to it. But we've been grandstanding all this time and talking. For me, it's wasting precious airtime. It's expensive. Let's get down to the crux of the matter. Look, one of the things that I got out of the censor of the finance minister was not all the things that the 7 points that they were talking about.
All right, and you hold. Switch over to Studio 5 at 7:45 for the sports update. World Cup, 15 minutes. You'll be excited. And we'll come back and you hold that thought and give it to me. Oscar Provencal, Edgar Wiredu, Kafui Dey, man. That's the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Credits to his Facebook page for that video that is getting a lot of likes. Yeah, I like the flick, it's small. More vibe. There you go. Boom. And then the yellow one. Charlie. I love it. We are in the mood. Over just a little bit of a day to our game tomorrow. Ghana, Portugal. Let us know what your thoughts are on the game. Gentlemen, back from the sports break, Oscar was making a point about the vote of censure.
Yes.
Before we went.
One of the things that I came away with was when the finance minister said that, look, we've won political freedom. Now we need to win economic freedom. I'm paraphrasing. That should tell us a lot, because we know that we don't have the economic freedom. But when you juxtapose that and you just take it as a mere statement, whether it is Ghana Beyond Aid, which it basically encompasses, and please don't anybody associate this with any MPP, typical Ghanaian way of thinking. We must always remember that it is going to be a very difficult road. You can find out what happened to Sankara when he tried to break away from the French. He went to an AU meeting and told Mitterrand in his face that they were going to look inward and no longer to France. What happened to him? They got his best friend, who his father even looked after, who was his best man at his wedding, to kill him and chop him up into pieces, scatter his body. The trial, I think, is still going on in Burkina. What happened to Lumumba? So there's a long history of the difficulty it is for Africans to try and gain that economic freedom. And we should not think that over. Otherwise, Gaddafi wouldn't have been taken out the way he was taken out on false listings, accusations. So there is still clearly a fundamental issue about us getting our economic freedom. If we think that political freedom is all that we want and all that we need, and we are happy with it, and we're happy, well, fine. And we are not thinking about our economic freedom, which COVID has exposed, and which we should have known a long time ago. But to have the courage to face those forces that are at play on that level should tell you something. So if there are like-minded people in this country who are not just looking at the issues skin deep, but are thinking far deeper than that, I want to associate myself with that thought, wherever it comes from, that we must get our economic freedom, but to have the courage to do so with the perils that lie before us is not going to be an easy thing. Even from within, you have those who are the multinational companies and the interests that are at play. When you say you are marginalizing them and taking their revenue, go to Nigeria and look at what's happened to Shell. Ken Saro-Wiwa, what happened to him? He was hanged by his own people because of the interests, and I'll be mindful here, of Shell. So let's not sit here and joke with what lies before us for us to gain our economic freedom. We lost lives for people who fought for our political freedom. We've lost lives for people who fought for freedom during Rawlings' time and at times. We've lost lives even in this dispensation from people going on demonstration and losing their lives. It's not a joking matter. It's not about just coming and talking and talking and talking and talking. We're talking about people's lives and what the kind of sacrifices that need to be taken going forward. And will we find the leaders who are going to be courageous enough to do that, or are they going to be the agents of the West and make sure that the interest of the West will always be at play and at the center and keep us here as Africans where we are?
Oscar, we're not blaming the West too much. I mean, I'm looking at Singapore's per capita income, GDP. In 1960, it was $428. It's now 72,000 plus. Ghana's per capita GDP per capita in 1960 was about 100 and something dollars. And it's now 60 years after 2044. I mean, this is what are we blaming the West for, man? We are not on our game, my brother. We're tired of the excuses.
Listen, when we discuss
100 to 2,400, somebody 400 to 72,000. Come on, man.
When we discuss these matters, you and I know perfectly well that
they were also colonized.
Yes, and you and I know that we have obviously regressed, like my brother has
Too
said.
much.
And now there's a new generation. And I'm saying to you that we are here. What is the new generation going to do to get out of it? This ACFTRA, AFTRA, it's one of the steps to go.
Are we funding it?
It's not a question of are we funding it.
We are complaining about that funding it. Then what's the point?
Well, let me just give you an example here. This Singapore
thing, it's a step in the right direction. Issues of funding, obviously.
We and them, because we had independence the same time.
We must think in that mindset.
The Vision 2020 document was that by the year 2020, we should be at par with Singapore. And that document was launched sometime in 95, 96. You know, so we had a long way to go to Vision 2020 to come there. In Singapore, that country, it was heavily infested, seriously infested with mosquitoes. Today, if you go to Singapore, you pay before you see mosquito. Mosquito self is a side attraction there. You pay before you see mosquito. Conscious efforts by people to say that this is where we are going to, and therefore you are rallying everyone behind you. Look at this thing here. It's been here for how long?
About 2 months now.
This thing here.
It hasn't settled.
The president said he was putting his presidency on the line. At the time he said he was putting his presidency on the line, and today it has gotten worse. And you see, why I tell you that our people, we don't crack our brains. We sit in this country, and then the finance minister, then the governor, and the government, and all government communicators was a communication team. Everybody says that we are waiting for cocoa syndicated loans, okay, to show up our foreign view. You are looking for some 1.1 or some 1.3, how do you call it, billion. Côte d'Ivoire, this year, Côte d'Ivoire made over 7 billion from cocoa, because they will not allow any human being to go and then destroy the land. No galamsey is going there. But Côte d'Ivoire also has gold. Côte d'Ivoire also has gold, but they are not doing it like the way we're doing it. How serious are we? The soldiers who were asked to go and man the place, make sure things does not go wrong, we are made to understand that they were also being given monies, and therefore they compromised the situation. The soldiers, they were being given monies and they compromised the situation.
Are you generalizing?
Hence the deterioration to whatever it is like. And I ask myself the question, look at what is on the president is talking about the terrorism and all the threats that are there. If even our own people, they'll give you money, you the soldiers, they'll give you money, and you allow them to destroy the forest, destroy our water bodies, and our cocoa will suffer. Then when the terrorists also come in and then they give you money, then you will allow them to walk inside the country. I mean, these are issues that have come out. What has the government done about it? Has the government put in any machinery to investigate these claims that came out? Nothing. As I said, the other day we are talking about this situation. Today in this country, arms are all over the area. People holding all kinds of guns and things. What is the security? As we sit today, these men are even working. You find people sitting Okada and shooting them. And what has the security apparatus done?
Maybe you should ask them.
You know, and that was so. You know, as I keep saying that, you see, the human beings that are put in charge, the human beings that are there, that are responsible, to what extent are they being allied to their responsibilities? We are sitting in this country, and next year we are also waiting for another, how do you call it, syndicated loan for the cocoa business. But you know what the Cadbury and Nestle people have done? Because they've realized what is happening to your, how do you call it?
Cocoa.
Your cocoa. Now, they are in line with India. And India is now planting organic cocoa. So the next 2-3 years, nobody is going to buy your cocoa. Because they don't want to rely on Chinese people, because they know the Chinese people can always play a fast one on them. So even though China is now also in the cocoa trade seriously, they've decided to go to India. And then they are doing organic cocoa. So you tell me next year that you are waiting for another cocoa syndicated loan to show up your what? Your foreign currency? I tell you that these guys, they lack ideas. I mean, you see, Kafui, it is ideas that moves the world. Oh. It is creativity that moves the world. Oh. It's not the book qualification. Oh. It's not it. So if you lack ideas, forget it. You will never make it. All the problems we are facing in this country, the way we have retrogressed,
we need ideas.
It is just the lack of creativity and ideas. Simple.
Let's go creative right now and step out of the studio to get some creative input into our show. With our man called Jay Gabra.
It sounds so easy.
Yes.
Talk about it.
So we're doing a little report
Policy
outside.
Formulation and implementation are two different things.
Well, Oscar, but the argument is it's been done elsewhere. I mean, we shouldn't talk about problems.
Are you a first world nation? You forget where you are in the scheme of things.
I'm an African. I don't go by those labels.
We know these challenges. How do we rectify it?
Let's rectify with Jay right now. Jay, what's up? Join us, man.
Do you want to talk to us?
Yes.
We can park and then come.
Of course, I want to talk to you. Why do you think I called your name, Jay? Get on the line right now and speak to us.
Thank you so much, Kafui. So, oh no, Oscar, relax. I just want to say hello to you, hello to Edgar and Oscar. I just met the assemblyman for the area. I was appealing to him to come and speak to us about the situation we're about to report on. Yeah, so it wasn't meant for you when I said, "Oh, do you want to speak to us?" That was what was happening. So this morning we are here in Sakmono, the link between Sakmono Estate and Sakmono. You can no longer really call it a village because a lot of development has gone on. So even they won't agree they are still a village, but that's the name we've known from old. And they have a very, should I say, small problem because of the grades that were here. That's been destroyed, and unfortunately, it's creating havoc for road commuters who have to use the area consistently. So let me just speak to Honorable Poku. Is it? Yes. Yes. Oh, no, just mention your name.
My name is Honorable Kusi Poku Bosompion. Okay. The assembly member for the area. This is the boundary. This is Sakmolo Village. This is my electoral area. You understand? And I happen to be the constituency chairman MPP.
Okay. So this situation we are seeing here, how long has this been like that?
It's been here for like maybe 1 or 2 weeks. But the issues are this. The contractor, Core Construction, Core was the person who did the roads. Yeah. He did them, he fixed them nicely as it is. Yeah. It was fixed. Now they are constructing a new road here. The dual carriage are constructing here. Yeah. So all the trucks are now diverting and passing here. Okay. I think here. So you could see the weight. You understand? So as the trucks have been passed on them, the metal got broken. I think the scrap boys have come to collect them. You understand? So I think that for this, we need to be able to start applying the law. The assembly must apply the law because the big trucks cannot pass there. This long trucks. That is what is. Yes, that is what is causing this one.
Oh, okay. So is the road? I know barely a year ago they came to do the road. So is there a warranty of sorts that will allow them to Core Construction to come back and then fix this?
You can't blame Core. You understand? You and I will see that was fixed. This is how it was done. Yeah. Nicely, we need to fix it like this so that when we want to distill, we can remove and distill. But because the trucks and then this. Metal was not meant for the bigger trucks. Yeah. You understand? This is a residential area road. Yeah. You understand? And then the trailers pass here and break into them. I personally was reported to the engineer. The engineer has come to see it. Now they say they are bringing a height bar here. Yeah. So it is the height bar is being constructed. Maybe close of week it should be ready, so that the trucks cannot park. Because if you fix them again, the trucks will still come destroy them. And there's nobody here guiding to stop the trucks from passing here. So all this one you cannot blame Core, you cannot blame the engineer. It is these big trucks. Look at the other side too. The trucks are creating all these problems. It was fixed like this. It was fixed. It is the truck that is creating all these problems.
But standing here, we can hear a noise when the vehicles even pass over the one that is fixed. Are we sure that one too is safe?
You see, the big trucks have also started passing on this one. Yeah. So you and I will see it started removing. Okay. That is what is creating the noise. Okay. You understand? Initially, it was fixed nicely. Okay. Engineers came to inspect. You understand? We have my engineer Wadi was here, always supervising the work. So when the big trucks start parking on them, that's when it start creating all this noise. Okay. You understand? So gradually, this will also be like this if we don't put the bar. Area, why do we have to put bar? It's just that our drivers are just being resisting and creating problems for it. Okay. There's a road construction here, and I think there's traffic there. Yeah. So they are always trying to avoid the traffic, and passing through here. So for me, I don't think we should blame the contractor now, nor the engineer. We need to be able to put the bar so that this thing will stop.
Okay, so the assemblyman of the electoral area giving us a rundown of why the grades over here have been destroyed, and we know owing to the beach road construction, which is going all the way from Tema to Accra. That's why when the big vehicles avoid the traffic from that side, they come here, and then that's what is causing. So we can even see one of the big trucks in our shot. If they continuously pass over these grades that were meant for them, then you realize that very soon this one here will also be destroyed. And these grades were fixed barely a year ago. So we can tell that over the course of time, it wasn't meant for vehicles as big as that one. So that means that constantly, and then it's going to get destroyed, and we have to spend taxpayers' money again to come and fix it. So hopefully when the height bar is fixed, it will prevent the long vehicles and the huge vehicles from passing here. The drivers here have been complaining because if you're not careful, if not for the bright lights at night, for instance, and you're passing here, if you fall inside, it just damages your vehicle completely. And you notice at the edge of the other side of the gutter, it's also gradually falling in, and there's a lot of rubbish over there as well. So when it rains, it's not able to drain the water away. And the big trucks, as we are standing here, they keep passing. So this is the plight of commuters here at Sakmono, just at the boundary between the estate and the Sakmono village. So I just want to thank you so much. So this has been the Keep an Eye report here from Sakmono in the Greater Accra region, Tema West constituency, I believe. Just look at the way the vehicle has to come forward in order to turn, in order to avoid the damage they've already caused to the road. It's a sad situation. So this is what commuters here have to contend with all the time. So this work, for people who are coming from Sakmono, they have to slow down in order for this vehicle to turn. And it creates that traffic situation and whatnot. Kafui, this is the situation here for you this morning. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Jay, thank you so much. The man about town, checking out all the things that need to be fixed, and we'll make sure this is not about prayers now, it's about getting the right person to put his foot down and do the work. Don't pay people for work that they haven't done. Simple philosophy, it will work. You're talking about a country where the street lights are always maintained.
Yeah.
In Africa here.
Kigami's country.
Rwanda.
Kigami's country. You would never see one bulb self even off. One bulb. Because the moment there's one bulb, the boss of our equipment, you are off.
Oscar, they were also colonized though, like us. What's happening there?
But I said you won't see
come back to this. We've come back to
No,
this.
it's a good example.
Why
is
about leadership.
Why is Rwanda,
we've come back
why
to
is
this
Rwanda working?
issue.
Look,
We've come
why
back
is Rwanda
to
No,
this.
wait, last it's good that you even raised it. You know, there no minister rides a V8.
What did they write?
You all use ordinary Toyotas. They have a pool. In fact, what happened was that some ministers went to buy the V8s. He went to their offices and collected all the V8s and then gave them to NGOs. And then they formed. If you can't use the car he's provided for you, Corolla Sentis, walk away. If you can't use the car, get out of my office. And he has what he does. You are there, then one day, 6, 4, 7 months, he just come, then bring you minister 3 or 4, come and face the public. Let the public talk. If the public talk and they weigh you and then your figures go down, they get you out of office. You know,
do you need a slice of that in Ghana?
So
Oscar.
So it's about what kind of leadership do we need going forward?
Exactly.
It's not about
that's what I say. It is a human
not about
being.
what we have today.
It's about a human being.
What kind of leadership do we have to have going forward? And when we say leadership,
do we have it?
I'm sure there are people who have the capacity to do so. But you know what? I'm sure 99% of the people, good people, people who mean well for this country, will not enter the political fray because of the way our politics is structured.
But street lights has nothing to do with politics. Just keep the lights on.
First of all, you have to attain power. You can't be a good leader sitting in your sitting room. You must attain power to exercise power. And don't think that power is a small thing. Power is a serious thing. You can be close to power. You have the president. The driver is close to power, but power does not reside in the driver. So we must understand the levels of what power is. You have a lot of people around the presidency. Everybody has the level of access to power. They can come and flex their muscles that, as for me, I moved in presidential convoy. No, Foco.
All right, Foco is not bad.
Oh,
Because they have no ability to influence, and they don't sign nothing.
The appearance people.
The next person who is coming, she has the power over the messages. Her name is Valerie. Fire.
Good morning. So yes, screen is interactive.
The messages are yours, by the way. She's just reading them.
Yes.
She's not responsible for your messages. Don't put her in problems.
Marquez from Kintampo is saying, good morning, Kaf. I think these people we are asking to fix the country cannot, will not, and do not know how to fix the country. I wonder how there are cheaper ways to go, but they still do not want to follow. Please read my message. Good morning. Good morning, Kaf. Good morning, Oscar. I'm crying hearing from you. Last time, I asked whether the government and parliament do listen to the panel of breakfast show. This is from Kwame Asante Major in Bawe. Okay. Doi is saying, hi, Kaf. Like, seriously, some of us are fighting for this kind of freedom. For this kind of freedom Oscar is talking about, and our own are nailing us. Moreover, I'm looking forward to their aid to do something to save the nation in their time. Maybe like in Nkrumah and Co. I think that's what he wants to say. Nkrumah and Co. have done it. And Yas Antwa and the rest. What are they doing to fight their own to help save our mother Ghana in the next generation? This is from Yenchi Dennis in Kuyapim. Mickey Darling saying, hi, BFS. Kaf, I greet you, Oscar and Edgar. Ghana needs a leader like the late President Magufuli of Tanzania to make a dramatic change in all the sectors. I personally don't have any more hope for Ghana. Jinyame, and that's Michael from Shalaja. Robert is joining the conversation, says, good morning, panel members. Great observations on change with the next generation. To add to your expectations, every undergraduate student 2023-2024 academic year must study economics at level 100. Thank you. That's Robert Donto's view. Kaf, good morning, Kaf. I didn't know our vice president can play like that. Coach Otoado made a mistake of calling Jordan. Baumia should have replaced him.
We'll play it again, don't worry. We'll play that video again.
Good morning, GTV, BFS, and your pundits. Yes, Ghana is our motherland, but it gets sadder and sadder to live on our own land because of our leaders. We're a country that has lost the sense and essence of patriotism. Ghana first from Kaswa.
Last message, Val.
Okay.
Yep, it was the last.
This is a new. Okay. Good morning, Kaf. Funny thing is that Rwanda doesn't have any natural resources. The government survives strictly on tourism and discipline. Ghana's problem is human resource. The wrong people are in the right places. That's from Sir Peter.
All right.
And that's it.
You are definitely the right person for the right time, Valerie. Thank you so much.
Yes, please.
Keep dazzling the smile for us.
You know what? When they talked about natural resources, do you know what they have in Rwanda?
Gorillas.
Grass cutter.
Kusie. No.
Akrantie. Massa.
But it's big business, even in South Africa.
But you can't catch them. It's if you catch them, trouble for you.
And you see, Kaf, we talk about Kagame.
Yes, and we wrap it up.
But he didn't come out of a vacuum. That's why you need a leader for a time. That's why Nkrumah came for a time. That's what you need. It's not just it comes out of a vacuum. What they went through, that genocide that they went through, somebody somewhere said, hey, we're never going back to that place, and we're going to move forward. And he has done exactly that. We don't need a genocide in this country to take us to that level. What we are demanding for is leadership, the kind of leadership that he's referring to. So out there somewhere in this country, there is a leader either being born in the village somewhere or is already in the mix of things at the moment, but must emerge. But the way our politics is, the way our politics of manifestos, and
it's not going to work for now.
Square pegs and round holes.
Okay.
Political appointees and all of those things has to change.
All right. Thank you so much. change
let me just give you a message.
20 seconds.
Yes, a message for the governor and then the finance minister and then the cocoa board.
Yeah.
Tell them that they should start looking deep. The next 2-3 years, Ghana's cocoa is not going to be bought. Nestle and Cadbury have signed on with India, and then they are producing organic cocoa for them. So if they don't act, as I said, just this year, Cote d'Ivoire, cocoa sales 7 billion.
Right.
Ghana, yours is 1.1 or 1.3. It tells you what is happening in the country.
Thank you so much.
So I beg you,
go
carry it to them.
I go carry them. Edgar Wiredu, Oscar Provencal, you are my men for Wednesdays. My name is Kafui Dey. Still to come, conversations with Mr. Drew, conversations with Sweet Ajele and Berma and Tamoti. And then we have an interesting one on annuities by the Insurance Commission. I believe our guests are seated, Mr. Kofi Andol and Tavona Biza. This should be good. You stay with us. This is GTV Breakfast. Mwah.